Well, Strange New World Season 2 comes to a close. Well, I might as well just break it to you, since I'm pretty sure you didn't watch it. It's a cliffhanger, so it's to be continued. Season 3, we'll have to open with that. And you can see they saved the money for a spectacular end, because this is a war episode, more action-adventure than anything else. The romance soap opera elements are still present in it. But other than that, that's basically what it is. So I'm kind of surprised. I guess they'll open spectacular for the episode, and then the rest of season 3 will be them walking around in the hallways discussing feelings. Whoa, 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 feelings. Because they're not going to have any money for anything else. Yeah. So at first I thought, hey, they're saving a little bit because they just went into this set that looks like, a suburban town or what have you. But now look, classic Star Trek did this too, You make use of props and sets you already have for other shows anyway. And so this is this Federation colony, and they wanted it to look like a throwback to, middle America from the 21st century and all that. So anyway, fine, it doesn't matter. But Pike's girlfriend is there, and Nurse Chapel is now part of her crew, and they're walking around, and nice place, huh? And then all of a sudden, and she's also Skyping with Pike, and miss you more, giggle tee hee. And then all of a sudden they get cut off. Oh no, what is it? And then, it looks like the spaceship arrival from Independence Day shows up. Well, it's the Gorn. Oh no, pum pum pum. So Pike is like, all right, pedal to the metal. We're going to the rescue. So at the outset, I said, all right, this season, and then now that it's over, yes, Lotus Eaters is their best episode. And one of the high points of it is that it's an actual Pike episode where he gets to actually be the captain. So I thought, hey, okay, here's an opportunity for Anson Mount to play Pike and really be Pike. You only saw a little bit of the original Pike in one episode, which was the original pilot, which of course they repurposed for a menagerie and all that. But anyway, that's him. But of course, his attitude and approach to it, which I've often thought was more closer to how Picard was originally presented. He warmed up over time and mellowed through the series, but nevertheless, he was this rather very strict, by the book type guy, and all of that. And I expected more of that in the character, even though within the cage, it opens with him being in a pretty bad mood. He's thinking of quitting and all that stuff because of the previous mission was a failure and all that. And so there's some leeway there to have him be, kind of soften up here and there. But they went way overboard with that in this series, and to its detriment. But here in this scenario where his girlfriend is missing, possibly dead, you could understand him being somewhat conflicted, and the rules and stuff. His boss, Admiral April, told him, hey, look, I know she's your girl, but hey, you got to obey regulations, all this stuff. But he's still going to do a rescue mission, even though he really doesn't have permission to, and all this stuff. So the Gorn are claiming this colony. They've agreed to a demarcation line. But the Enterprise can go no further. This sort of thing. Of course, Pike's going to do a rescue mission. So he gets some volunteers, and they cleverly use debris from the remains of his girlfriend's ship. It's been destroyed. And that way the Gorn don't notice them shuttling down. They have some sort of jamming technology that prevents beaming and communications and all that stuff. So there you go. He's desperate to find her if she's, possibly alive. But instead, do you think he's like driven, and some people, maybe even number one, saying, are you sure? But then, and she's behind him. I mean, he stood by her when she was in her troubles and all that. So it makes sense that they're all on board with this, even though it's, bending the rules and all that. But at the same time, you would think they might be questioning his judgment because his main focus is his girlfriend. That sort of thing. None of that happens. And he's back to the silly. Laughing at stupid Erica again. And then Erica needs her ass kissed one more time. about how great a pilot she is. So, of course, she pilots the shuttle. Just do it! But it's all this, and it's like, holy crap, they're seeing the debris of the ship. His girlfriend's probably dead. Meanwhile, Christine was also on the ship. They don't know where she is. Spock's all upset, of course. Well, as far as he can go. But everybody else is, because they all liked her. And, and yet, but let's be silly. Say, hey, we need a little levity, No. So it's a missed opportunity for Pike. Again. So already, as far as, what was the standout best episode of the series? It's Lotus Eaters. That's it. So I guess this is second best, and then with the only because of Kirk and Lady Khan chemistry in that episode, which at least finally spelled out that, yeah, this is alternate timelines, the blatantly obvious out loud, but nevertheless, so it's in third place, if you want that now. Because at least this one did have its adventure stuff in it, and they basically stuck to that because they're not really capable of much else. So they go down and the ruins of the colony. The only sci-fi concept suggested here is there's something off about the Gorn, in that they're not the Gorn, they're the xenomorphs from Alien. They're still doing that. But this is alternate timeline, so it's okay. Not really. Why would it be that far afield from the original? And you're just ripping off another sci-fi property, which you really shouldn't do. But they did. So they have to hide in the ruins from the Gorn that are there, but it appears to be the Gorn's kids running around in rather wild abandon. And then they mention that there's something about light. There's a solar flare activity that happened in the vicinity, and they apparently certain aspects of light affect the Gorn like moths. So I kind of wondered, would they find out that this is more about their kids were more affected by it than the adult Gorn, and they kind of accidentally stumbled into this? But it's even in the classic show, it's established that the Gorn are very territorial and they make claims, and this is very much what they did in the original episode. They attacked a colony that they deemed their territory, and it led to Kirk and Gorn in the desert fighting. Anyway, so the other, I guess, special surprise here is they introduce Scotty. He's a survivor from another ship, the only one, but of course he's a clever engineer, and he managed to figure out how to do it and how to cloak, more or less, his shuttle as he crashed on the planet. And they realize, there's a device that can hide them from the Gorn, so that'll come in handy next season. So there he is. The guy does a good enough job as he can, but we had to make sure you understood when eventually they do get rescued. They make it back to the Enterprise, and the Enterprise engineer, the Guinan of the show now, Pelio or whatever, I keep forgetting her name. It's not that great of a character. But Scotty was her student, so everything he learned from her. That's why he's a genius. See? Yeah. So that was the point of all that. Sam Kirk's along for the ride, but he doesn't really do a whole lot. So anyway, so by the time they find out that Pike's girlfriend is still alive, so once he finds that out, I would be forgiving of a little kind of humor here and there, and he's relaxed and not as hardcore as he should have been initially. But they completely missed that opportunity, and of course because they don't know what they're doing, and plus they don't care. So she's alive, thank God. She cusses him out for coming for her, the standard, you shouldn't have done it, but he would have done the same thing. No, it wouldn't. No, they don't say that, but so anyway, but later on find out, and this is one of those things, they stole this from Alien 2, they stole it from Alien 3, where Ripley is at the point where she finds out she's been impregnated by the alien, so she wants the alien to kill her, but it won't do it because it senses she's carrying, a queen baby in her, and so same thing happens here. A Gorn attacks them, but it won't. But then it decides to leave because it could detect that I forget her name, you know, Chris's girlfriend, Pike's girlfriend, is impregnated. And so that's when she reveals to Pike, yeah, I don't have long to live, and all that stuff. So they've got to find a way to save her. She wanted to do a suicide mission into the Gorn Tower they've established, which just sends out the signal that blocks everything. You know, like the force field on Hoth that the Empire had to destroy to take them over. The force field on Endor that protected the Death Star that the rebels had to destroy. So anyway, that's what they got here. But meanwhile, Spock and the crew figure out they can use the remains of the her starship, the Cayuga or something like that. I forget, something like that. And Spock goes there, but guess what? Christine's on board. Yay, she's alive. They reunite. They have a pretty decent zero gravity fight with the Gorn soldier, acting very much like a xenomorph with his tail and everything. But they win, and then they escape, and Spock is able to position it to where it falls into the gravity well of the planet, and it descends, and they're able to manipulate it to where it directly crashed into the tower, and so that knocked everything out. So Pike's girlfriend didn't have to sacrifice herself crashing into the tower, and so they beam back aboard the Enterprise, and they reunite with Christine, and says, "You got to save her," and she says, "I'm on it." You know, I don't know. It's not exactly the dialogue, but you get the idea. Well, it's pretty obvious what to do. And hey, you've got Scotty and his brilliant super duper pooper scooper immortal genius, and stick her in the transporter, beam the eggs out, beam her back. She's fine. That's what you got to do. Too bad you didn't think of him, or to do that, but for some dumb reason you didn't. And hell, why can't Dr. Mbinga figure it out? I mean, he stored his daughter in the transporter. Surely you guys realize what you can do with that thing, But looks like they're not going to figure that out. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, that's part of the cliffhanger. And then the Federation says, Dr. Mbinga couldn't do it. That's right, I forgot. He's still stuck on the planet because they can only beam so many. And then by the time they get ready to beam him and the rest of the colonists and whatnot, the Gorn beam them aboard their ships. So, and Pike's like, "Oh, we got to get them back." But then the Federation says, "Withdrawal, don't engage them anymore. This is over." And say, "What do we do, Captain?" And he's standing here like, "I don't know. I'm just a chef." "To be continued." And, that's that. So, yeah, that's too bad. But it was, the space battles and all that. They like doing that. They saved some money for this episode. I don't know how much they'll have for the next one, because this was sort of back to back from the first two, and what money they had to play with, they spent it more on Strange New Worlds. That's why Picard was always in the dark on their third season and all that, and they just sort of ran down the hall and back again and that sort of thing for the most of the series, and that's why. Whereas Strange New Worlds looks much better, but so what are they going to do? I guess maybe they'll have enough for that first episode, and then the rest will be, they're in the hallway talking about feelings, whoa feelings, and at best. So, but anyway, ultimately, I guess the reveal will be something about the solar flares that affected the Gorn, and it was all a misunderstanding and an accident or something like that, But boy, oh boy, they really. You know what? Probably the Gorn says, "Look, we got your people. We don't want you to harm the eggs that the other captain has. We want her eggs to survive." And they're like, "Damn it!" That kind of standoff thing that they have. And then they'll reveal this was all an accident because our kids got a little wild because of that solar flare. It does things to their mind. It's like drugs. But when you're older, you can resist it, Yeah. Why didn't they just fly into the star and burn up, Well, whatever. So that's that. So this is a distant second best after the Lotus Eaters, which is the closest one they've done out of both seasons. That was almost a Star Trek episode. Almost. So that's it for Strange New Worlds Season 2. They went to a new world, but it wasn't all that strange because they deliberately made the colony look like, you know, what we live in today. So that's not strange. That's very familiar. So familiar new worlds. Familiar new worlds. Yeah. And, of course, very familiar sci-fi plots stolen from other sci-fi plots. Sometimes Star Trek, sometimes, but most of the time, in this case, once again, Alien. Huh. Imagine that.